Have you ever noticed that the more you chase something, love, success, happiness, the further it seems to drift away? It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more you lose. And yet, we keep pushing, forcing, grasping, hoping that just a little more effort will get us there. But what if we've had it all wrong? What if peace doesn't come from doing more, but from surrendering, accepting, and flowing with life? The Stoics, some of the wisest thinkers in history, believed that inner peace isn't something you hunt down, it's something you allow. Not by giving up, but by giving in to what is. In a world that tells us to hustle, to strive, to never settle, the Stoic path offers a radical alternative. Don't force anything. Instead, align with the natural rhythm of life. Think of it like sailing. You don't fight the wind. You work with it. You adjust your sails, not the sea. And when you stop fighting the current, you finally begin to float. We've all felt it. That tension in our chest when things don't go the way we want. Maybe it's a relationship that's slipping through your fingers, a job opportunity that never calls back, or a dream that seems stuck in the mud. The frustration builds, and the instinct is to push harder, to demand answers, to force solutions. But the Stoics, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, warned us, the moment you begin to force, you've already lost control. Why? Because you're clinging to something that isn't fully yours to hold. You're trying to bend life to your will, instead of bending your will to life. And in that subtle shift, lies your peace or your suffering. This video isn't about giving up on your goals. It's about learning how to pursue them, without desperation, without attachment, without losing your center. We'll walk through 10 timeless Stoic lessons that reveal how to navigate life's chaos with calm, how to act with intention instead of impulse, and how to discover strength not in struggle, but in surrender. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is to stop trying so hard. So, are you ready to explore what it really means to not force anything, and why that just might be the key to lasting inner peace? Let's dive in. Lesson 1. Live fully in the present. There's something profoundly human about putting life on hold. We say we'll be happy once we get that promotion. We'll feel peace when we fix that relationship. We'll finally relax, just as soon as we reach that next milestone. And yet, life keeps happening. Right now, in this very moment. The Stoics knew this truth all too well. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, once wrote, "Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you, while you live, while it is in your power. Be good." What was he saying? That we spend too much of our time living in somewhere else, in the future, in the past, in hypotheticals that may never come true. But the only time we actually have, the only moment we can act in, is now. The present moment isn't just a poetic concept. It's the only ground on which real life happens. The future? It's a possibility. The past? It's a memory. But the present, that's your power. That's your home. And yet, we often treat it like a waiting room. We sit there, scrolling through our phones, distracted by worries, planning 10 steps ahead. We ignore the sunshine hitting the window. We miss the warmth of a good meal. We forget to hear the birds, or notice our breath, or really feel what it's like to be here. The Stoics believed that presence, true, grounded presence, isn't optional. It's the very foundation of a good life. Marcus Aurelius wasn't giving a motivational quote when he told us not to act like we'll live forever. He was warning us, you don't have time to waste. Because if you're not living this moment, you're not really living at all. So what can we do? How do we anchor ourselves back into the now? The answer lies in the simplest practices. Mindfulness, meditation, paying close attention to the little things. The warmth of your coffee mug, the sound of leaves rustling outside, the feel of your feet on the ground. These aren't spiritual cliches, they're training tools. They bring your mind back to the only place you have power, this moment. And when you do that, you make better decisions. You speak with more kindness. You stop rushing through life like it's some race to the finish line. Epictetus, another great Stoic thinker, once posed a powerful question. What am I doing right now? And is it helpful? Let that sink in. What am I doing right now? And is it helpful? Not what I'm planning to do. Not what I should have done. But this, here, now. It's a practice in awareness, in self-responsibility. It's a flashlight you can shine on any moment of your day. Stuck in traffic? Ask the question. Scrolling on your phone for the third hour? Ask the question. About to respond to an email in anger? Pause, ask the question. It doesn't take a Stoic to realize that our lives are made up of moments like these. But it does take wisdom and practice to own them. You see, living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the future. It means not missing your life while waiting for the future to happen. Every moment matters, not because it's flashy or dramatic, but because it's yours. And the truth is, no one else can live it for you. So the next time your mind races ahead, or looks back in regret, try this. Pause, breathe, notice, ask Epictetus's question, and return to the only place where life is actually happening. Right here, right now. Now that we've grounded ourselves in the present, let's explore how the Stoics teach us to let go, starting with Lesson 2. Don't control what you can't control. Because peace isn't just about being here, it's about knowing what to hold and what to release. Lesson 2. Understand the impermanence of life. There's a quiet truth we all try to avoid, even though it stares us in the face every day. Everything changes. Everything ends. The Stoics didn't flinch at this truth, they embraced it. To them, understanding impermanence wasn't dark or depressing. It was liberating, because when you truly grasp that nothing lasts forever, not your possessions, not your success, not even the people you love, you start to live differently. More honestly, more gratefully, more awake. Marcus Aurelius, writing in his journal as Emperor of Rome, reminded himself often, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. It wasn't a threat. It was a wake-up call. We live like tomorrow is promised. Like there's always more time. But what if there isn't? Imagine kissing your child goodnight, like Epictetus once said, and remembering, not with fear, but with presence, that nothing is guaranteed. That this moment, this breath, this embrace, could be the last. Not because we want it to be, but because that's the nature of life. The Stoics didn't believe in clinging. They believed in appreciating, and you can't fully appreciate what you take for granted. Seneca put it plainly, we are born to die. That might sound morbid, but think about it. What happens when you truly internalize that your time, and everyone else's, is limited? You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You forgive faster. You let go of grudges. You tell people you love them now, not later. The Stoics knew, everything you see, touch, and experience is temporary. Your relationships, your career, your health, even your own body, is constantly changing. Trying to cling to it all is like trying to hold a sunset in your hand. Beautiful, but impossible. Instead, they taught us to see beauty in that transience. To love our children while they're young, not fearing they're growing up, but marveling at each new stage. To enjoy our youth while we have it, not in denial of aging, but in honor of its fleetingness. To value our work, not because it will last forever, but because it matters now. And when things begin to fade, when the body aches, the job ends, the relationship shifts, the mirror shows a little more age, don't panic, don't resist, accept it with grace. Aging isn't a curse, it's a teacher. Loss isn't punishment, it's perspective. The temporary nature of life isn't something to fear. It's the very reason to live more fully. Because when you stop expecting things to last forever, you stop being shocked when they change. And when you're not shocked, you're not resentful. And when you're not resentful, you're free. Free to enjoy what's here, while it's here. Free to say goodbye with peace when the time comes. Free to love without trying to possess. Free to live with purpose, not because life is long, but because it's short. The next time you feel frustration over things changing, a friendship cooling, a plan falling apart, your face looking older in the mirror, pause. Remember what the Stoics knew. This is how it's supposed to be. This is the nature of life. And resisting that nature only creates suffering. Instead, lean into it. Say, I see you. Impermanence. I accept you. I honor you. And then turn your gaze back to the present moment. And live it as if it truly mattered. Because it does. Lesson 3. The power of acceptance. There's a kind of peace that only arrives when you finally stop fighting the things you can't control. The weather, traffic, other people's behavior, the past. No matter how much energy we pour into wishing things were different. Life just is. And the more we resist that, the more we suffer. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. They didn't preach helplessness or passivity, far from it. What they taught was clarity. The wisdom to separate what's within your control from what's not. As Epictetus put it, make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. It sounds simple, maybe too simple. But think about the last time something didn't go your way. You got stuck in traffic. Your coworker threw you under the bus. You failed at something you'd worked so hard on. What did you do? If you're like most people, you probably got frustrated. Maybe you ranted. Maybe you tried to fix what couldn't be fixed. Maybe you stayed upset for hours over something completely out of your hands. That's what the Stoics warned us against. Because frustration isn't power. Control isn't found in changing the world, it's found in how you respond to it. You can't make the traffic move faster, but you can choose to listen to music, to breathe deeply, to accept the delay instead of fighting it. You can't make your coworker kinder, but you can stay calm, speak with integrity, and protect your own peace. You can't undo a failure, but you can learn from it. Stand back up, try again. That's what real control looks like. Marcus Aurelius said it beautifully. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That one line sums up the Stoic heart. Power isn't about controlling the world. It's about mastering yourself. It's not giving up. It's letting go of what never belonged to you in the first place. Acceptance isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the strength to say, this happened. I didn't choose it, but I will choose how to respond. So many of us waste precious energy fighting the inevitable. We brace against change. We replay the past. We try to bend people to our will. But what if we stopped? What if we accepted what's out of our hands and put all our energy into what's in them? Our reactions, our thoughts, our values, our next step. That's where peace begins. Because once you stop trying to change the unchangeable, you free yourself to focus on what actually matters. Not the noise, not the chaos, but your character, your choices, your inner life. And from that place, you gain something even more powerful than control. You gain freedom. Now that we've discovered the quiet strength of acceptance, let's move into something equally transformative. Lesson 4: Respond with reason, not emotion. Because knowing what to accept is one thing, but choosing how you respond, that's where your real power lives. Lesson 4: Learn to let go. Some things in life are heavy, not because they weigh a lot, but because we never put them down. A grudge that lingers, a failure you keep replaying, a relationship that hurt more than it healed, or even the version of yourself you thought you should be by now. We carry these burdens like invisible backpacks, packed full of memories, regrets, expectations, and judgments, and then we wonder why we feel tired, restless, stuck. The Stoics had a different way of walking through life. They didn't suggest we ignore pain or pretend nothing affects us. Instead, they offered us a radical idea. Let it go. Epictetus put it plainly. It is not events that disturb people, but their judgments about them. Let that sink in. It's not what happened. It's the meaning you gave it. It's the story you told yourself about it, and the fact that you kept telling that story long after the moment passed. You see, life will always bring loss, change, disappointment, but what you carry, and for how long, is up to you. Letting go isn't erasing the past. It's releasing your grip on it. It's choosing not to be defined by something that already happened. It's refusing to let someone else's words, or your own mistakes, shape who you are becoming. It's saying, yes, that happened, and now, I move forward. Seneca once wrote, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. You can't step into something new if you're still holding on to what's old. A new chapter doesn't begin until the last one is closed. But letting go doesn't only apply to pain. It also means releasing control. Letting go of expectations, of how things should turn out, of needing everyone to approve, or needing everything to go according to plan. Because when you cling too tightly to how things should be, you miss out on what they are. Marcus Aurelius, wise and grounded even under the weight of empire, reminded himself each day, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. That's the mindset of someone who has let go. Not bitter about yesterday, not anxious about tomorrow, just present, grateful, free. Imagine waking up like that. No grudge carried over from the day before. No pressure to prove something. Just the clean slate of morning, and the quiet joy of being alive. That's what letting go gives you. You reclaim your mornings. You reclaim your peace. You reclaim yourself. So today, take inventory. What are you holding onto that no longer serves you? What story are you repeating that only keeps you stuck? It's okay to put it down. It's okay to forgive. It's okay to walk away from the version of the past that's been weighing you down. Because sometimes, the most powerful step forward is the moment you decide to let go. Now that we've learned to loosen our grip and free ourselves from the past, it's time to focus on something just as powerful. Lesson 5: Respond with reason, not emotion. Because once you let go, you're no longer reacting from pain, you're choosing from clarity. Lesson 5: Practice mindfulness. It's amazing how much of our life we live without really being there. You're washing the dishes, but your mind is arguing with someone from earlier. You're walking through a beautiful park, but all you see is tomorrow's to-do list. You're talking to a loved one, but your phone buzzes. Your thoughts drift, and suddenly, you've missed the moment. We're constantly somewhere else, racing ahead, replaying the past, worrying, planning, scrolling, comparing. But the Stoics warned us, that kind of living isn't living at all. Marcus Aurelius, in the quiet moments of reflection between ruling and empire, wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Just 5 words, but they hold the power to transform your life. Because when you're not fully in the moment, you're not in control. Your mind runs you. Your emotions drive your behavior. And the more scattered you are, the more reactive you become. Mindfulness, true, grounded awareness, is the remedy. It's not about sitting cross-legged on a mountaintop or lighting incense. It's about being fully awake to what's happening right now. You can practice mindfulness anywhere. Washing the dishes? Feel the water. Smell the soap. Listen to the sound of the plates. Walking to work? Notice your breath. Feel the pavement beneath your feet. Watch the world move around you. Answering emails? Do just that. One task at a time. One thought at a time. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." So much of our stress, fear, and anxiety doesn't come from what is, but from what might be. We create worst-case scenarios in our heads. We relive past embarrassments. We anticipate rejection before it happens. But when you come back to the present moment, you realize, most of those fears are smoke. They're not real. They're mental noise. Mindfulness helps you see that. It teaches you to recognize a thought as just a thought. A feeling is just a feeling. Not a command, not a truth, just a passing cloud. And when you can do that, you stop reacting blindly. You start responding with intention. You gain space, space to choose, space to breathe, space to be. Even something as simple as drinking your morning coffee can become a grounding ritual. Feel the warmth of the mug. Smell the aroma. Take a slow, conscious sip. You're not just drinking coffee. You're being alive. That's what mindfulness gives you. Presence, clarity, emotional balance. It doesn't erase your problems, but it makes you more equipped to face them. Calmer, stronger, wiser. So the next time you feel yourself getting swept up by anxiety, by distraction, by anger, pause. Come back. Breathe. Ask yourself, where am I right now? And am I really here? Let that question bring you home. Now that we've learned how mindfulness keeps us rooted in the present, it's time to explore the next key to inner peace. Lesson 6: Choose your thoughts wisely. Because what you focus on doesn't just shape your mood, it shapes your entire reality. Lesson 6: Use silence effectively. In a world that constantly tells us to speak up, share more, post more, explain ourselves, silence has become underrated. But the Stoics saw it differently. To them, silence wasn't emptiness. It was power. It was presence. It was discipline. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen more and speak less." He wasn't being clever. He was being wise. Because silence gives us something speech often doesn't: perspective. Think about the last time you were in a heated conversation. Someone said something that triggered you. Your heart raced. You felt your jaw tighten. And before you knew it, you were snapping back, defending, attacking. Now imagine what would have happened if you paused. Just 5 seconds. A deep breath. A moment of silence. Would you still have said the same thing? Epictetus put it this way: "Nature gave us 1 tongue and 2 ears so that we may listen twice as much as we speak." It's a simple ratio, but one most of us forget. We're so quick to react, to fill the air with noise, to prove a point, win an argument, get the last word. But silence? Silence gives us space. Space to think. to observe, to understand not just what someone is saying, but why they're saying it. It's in silence that self-awareness grows. It's in silence that we catch ourselves before we speak from ego, from anger, from fear, and it's not just in conflict. In meetings, silence can be strategic. Instead of rushing to offer your opinion, try listening first. Absorb the room. Notice what others miss. Often, the person who speaks the least ends up saying the most when it truly matters. Seneca, with his usual clarity, wrote, "It is quality rather than quantity that matters. Not just in words, but in everything. And silence ensures your words count. It filters the noise, sharpens your message, turns speech from reaction into intention. Silence also creates room for reflection. When was the last time you just sat with your own thoughts? No music, no notifications, no input, just you and the hum of your own mind? It can be uncomfortable at first, but in that stillness, clarity often appears. You hear what really matters. You notice what you've been avoiding. You reconnect with yourself. So next time you're tempted to speak quickly, don't. Pause, breathe, ask yourself, is this necessary? Is it helpful? Is it kind? And if it's not, let the silence do the talking. Because sometimes, the most powerful statement you can make is no statement at all. With silence as your ally, you become not only a better communicator, but a more centered, thoughtful version of yourself. And now, with that foundation, let's take one more step into the heart of Stoic wisdom. Lesson 7: Live with intention. Because silence clears the path, but intention tells you where to walk. Lesson 7. Enjoy the journey, not just the outcome. We spend so much of our lives chasing the finish line. The job title, the six-figure income, the perfect relationship, the goal weight, the next milestone, always just one step ahead. And yet, how often do we get there, only to feel underwhelmed? Like we blinked, and the moment we worked so hard for already passed. On to the next. The Stoics saw this trap from a mile away. Epictetus warned us, do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happens the way it happens, and you will be happy. That's not just about accepting outcomes. It's about reframing desire. It's about learning to love the path, not just the destination. Because when you fixate solely on the outcome, you miss the experience. You miss the growth, the lessons, the little wins along the way. You reduce life to a checklist, one box after another, never quite feeling satisfied. Marcus Aurelius offered this timeless reminder. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Not the size of your paycheck. Not the number of likes. Not how fast you arrived. But your thoughts. What you choose to focus on as you move through life. Let's say you're training for a marathon. If all you care about is the finish line, every run feels like a chore. But if you find joy in the movement, the sweat, the discipline, that's where the magic is. Same with building a career. If you're only after the promotion, you miss the skill building, the connections, the person you're becoming in the process. Even in relationships, if you're only focused on where it's going, you miss where it is. You miss the late night talks, the inside jokes, the quiet moments that don't show up in photos but mean everything. Seneca nailed it when he said, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, it is because we do not dare that things are difficult." Sometimes, the journey feels hard because we're resisting it. We're too focused on where we should be, instead of fully showing up to where we are. But what if the journey is the reward? What if the real victory isn't the trophy, but the transformation? Not what you get, but who you become along the way. When you let go of the obsession with results, you start noticing beauty in the effort, in the daily grind, in the small wins, in the setbacks that teach you patience, in the detours that take you somewhere even better than you planned. That's what the Stoics were pointing to. Not a life of passive acceptance, but a life of active presence, where fulfillment isn't waiting at the end, but found along the road. So take a moment, look at where you are, not where you think you should be, not what's still unfinished, but right now. What have you learned? How have you grown? What are you grateful for? Not in some distant future, but today. That's the journey, and it's worth enjoying. Now that we've learned to savor the process and stop postponing happiness, let's turn to one of the most grounding ideas in Stoic philosophy. Lesson 8: Focus on what you can control. Because in every moment of the journey, that's where your true strength begins. Lesson 8: Find joy in the simplest things. We live in a world obsessed with more. More money, more stuff, more recognition. The belief is simple: if we just had a little more, then we'd finally be happy. But here's the catch: more is a moving target. Once you get it, the finish line moves. And before you know it, you're stuck on the treadmill of never enough. The Stoics saw this coming thousands of years ago. They understood that real happiness isn't found in abundance. It's found in appreciation. Seneca said it with brutal clarity. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor. Let that settle. It's not your bank account that determines your wealth, it's your mindset. You could have everything and still feel empty. Or you could have almost nothing and still feel full. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. Even as the ruler of Rome, surrounded by luxury and power, he reminded himself to stay grounded, to find joy in the ordinary. A sunrise, a breeze through the window, the sound of laughter, a moment of peace before the city awoke. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love, not because those moments were grand, but because they were real." Epictetus, born a slave and later one of the greatest Stoic teachers, echoed the same truth. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Imagine that. Imagine waking up tomorrow and wanting less, not out of defeat, but out of contentment. Imagine walking through your day and seeing the beauty in small things. The warmth of a cup of tea, the smell of the earth after rain, the genuine smile of a stranger. These are the kinds of riches the world can't steal. They don't fade with time or get lost in a market crash. They're always available, if you have the eyes to see them. But here's the challenge. You have to slow down. You have to notice. Because joy isn't loud. It doesn't scream for your attention. It's subtle, gentle, easy to miss if you're moving too fast, chasing too much. The Stoics weren't against success or ambition. They simply knew that without gratitude, no amount of success will ever feel like enough. So the next time you feel overwhelmed by what you don't have, pause, look around. What simple thing can you appreciate right now? A breath, a moment of silence, the fact that you're alive, aware, and capable of feeling joy, even in this very moment. That's the kind of happiness that lasts. Because it doesn't depend on having, it depends on noticing. Now that we've learned to embrace the simple, let's move towards something equally powerful. Lesson 9: Lead by example. Because once you've found peace within, the next step is to live it out loud. Lesson 9: The art of gratitude. There's a quiet power in the words, "Thank you." Not the polite, automatic kind you say out of habit, but the kind that bubbles up from deep within, the kind that slows you down, softens your heart, and reminds you, right here, right now, this is enough. The Stoics didn't just believe in gratitude. They practiced it. Seneca said it beautifully. Nothing is more honorable than a grateful heart. To him, gratitude wasn't an occasional emotion, it was a way of life. A mindset. A lens through which you see the world not as something owed to you, but as a series of gifts you've already received. And yet, how often do we overlook what we have? We wake up and rush into the day. We focus on what's missing. We complain about what's hard. And we forget to even notice what's good. Marcus Aurelius, with all the weight of an empire on his shoulders, still made space for gratitude. He wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." He wasn't romanticizing life. He was choosing to see clearly. Because no matter how messy or imperfect your day may be, there's always something worth appreciating. The Stoics believed that gratitude builds resilience. It reminds you of what's going right, even when things are going wrong. It helps you stay grounded, even when the world feels shaky. And it's not just about feeling good, it's about getting stronger. Because when you practice gratitude, you train your mind to focus on what is, not what's missing. And from that place of abundance, you act more wisely, more kindly, more freely. So how do you make gratitude part of your daily life? Start simple. Write down 3 things you're grateful for each morning or before bed. Big or small, it doesn't matter. What matters is noticing them. Maybe it's a warm bed, a kind word from a friend, a lesson learned the hard way, even the challenges that made you tougher. Over time, this habit rewires your perspective. You stop taking life for granted. You stop expecting everything to be perfect. You start seeing what was always there. And gratitude isn't just internal, it's relational. When you express appreciation to others, it strengthens your connection. You acknowledge their impact. You make them feel seen. And you remind yourself that you're not alone. A simple thank you to a partner. A note to a mentor. A moment of recognition to a friend who always shows up. These small acts build trust, intimacy, and mutual respect, because everyone wants to feel valued. And when you lead with gratitude, you invite others to do the same. So if you're searching for happiness, start here. Start now, with what you already have, with who you already are, with the moments that are unfolding in front of you, quietly asking to be noticed. That's the art of gratitude. It turns ordinary days into blessings. It transforms problems into perspective. And it anchors your heart in a kind of joy that can't be shaken by circumstance. Now that we've learned to root ourselves in gratitude, let's move forward with one final lesson. Lesson 10: Lead by example. Because what you practice privately is what you project to the world. Lesson 10: Appreciate solitude. In a world of constant noise, true silence feels almost radical. We wake up to notifications. We fill our days with meetings, calls, updates, scrolling. Even in moments meant for rest, we distract ourselves, music playing, videos auto-playing, voices always nearby. And yet, the Stoics knew, real strength is forged in solitude. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the vast Roman Empire, found peace not in the palaces or public squares, but in himself. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter retreat than into his own soul." It wasn't isolation he craved. It was stillness. Because solitude isn't about being alone. It's about being with yourself, without distraction, without noise, without masks. It's in solitude that we meet the rawest, truest version of who we are. Seneca echoed this when he said, "A well-ordered mind is at home with itself. The wise man is never less alone than when alone." Most people avoid being alone because they're afraid of what they might find. Unresolved feelings, restlessness, doubts they've buried under busyness. But the Stoics taught that solitude isn't something to fear, it's something to cultivate. Because when you can sit with yourself in silence, when you can be fully present without needing to escape into noise, you discover a deep kind of clarity. You begin to understand your own thoughts instead of absorbing the opinions of the crowd. You start to feel your emotions fully instead of reacting impulsively. You realize how much of your stress was never yours to begin with, just borrowed energy from the outside world. Solitude becomes your reset button. It grounds you. It strengthens you. It helps you come back to center. Again and again. So how do you practice this kind of solitude in everyday life? You don't have to retreat to a cabin in the woods. Take a walk without your phone. Sit quietly with a cup of tea, no distractions. Just you. End your day with a few minutes of silent reflection. Watch your thoughts pass like clouds. No judgment. No need to control. Just observe. Even 5 minutes a day can shift the way you relate to yourself and the world. Because when you learn to enjoy your own company, you stop chasing validation. You stop needing to be entertained every second. You stop fearing stillness. And in that space, you find something rare. Peace that doesn't depend on anyone else. A joy that isn't loud. A confidence that doesn't need to prove itself. Solitude is not the absence of life. It's where life speaks the clearest, if you're quiet enough to listen. And now, as we come to the end of this journey, we circle back to where we began. Don't force life. Live it with presence, with grace, with awareness, with strength drawn from within. Because inner peace was never out there. It's been inside you all along, waiting in the quiet. Conclusion: the peace you're chasing is already within. So now, you've heard the 10 lessons. Not rules, not commandments, but quiet invitations, offered by men who lived through chaos, loss, power, war, and still found peace. You don't have to force anything. You don't have to control every outcome, fix every situation, or prove yourself to the world. Because the deepest strength comes not from holding on, but from letting go. Letting go of the need to rush. Letting go of the need to be perfect. Letting go of everything outside your control, so you can finally take full ownership of what is. Your thoughts, your reactions, your presence, your character. The Stoics didn't promise an easy life, but they gave us something better. A way to meet life with clarity, courage, and calm. They taught us to live fully in the moment. Accept what we cannot change. Let go of what no longer serves us. Return, again and again, to the simplicity of breath, gratitude, and stillness. And here's the truth most people miss. You don't have to wait for peace. You practice it. Every time you pause instead of panic. Every time you choose reflection over reaction. Every time you say, enough. Not because you've given up, but because you've finally come home to yourself. So ask yourself, one last time, what if nothing is missing? What if happiness isn't over the next hill, or waiting in some future version of you, but right here, in this exact moment, asking to be noticed? Don't force life. Flow with it, let it unfold, and trust that everything you need to feel free, grounded, and whole is already within you. If this video resonated with you, consider subscribing to join us on more journeys like this, where ancient wisdom meets modern life, and where inner peace becomes not just an idea, but a practice. Until next time, take care and take a breath.